Hello folks, and welcome once again to the Gesundheit Kitchen. My name is Hans Rueffert, and I am a stomach cancer survivor, gastric cancer survivor, and I'm also on the board of directors for the Gastric Cancer Foundation. And this is our little sort of playground to talk about food and nutrition and digestion and all of those fun things, particularly in the case of people that have had either a partial gastrectomy or a total gastrectomy. But honestly, the things that we do here are relevant to anybody who eats food, which is not 100% of the population, but most people. And so just because you're hearing the word gastric cancer, don't tune out thinking, well, this is for somebody else. This really does apply to you sort of normal people with a full stomach. And I mean that in the most respectful way. But I like to always talk about ways to sort of sneak in nutrition or get away from eating lots of meat. And if you eat meat, that's fine, but do know that eating meat is a little more difficult than eating plant-based materials. So I've recently fallen in love with jackfruit, which is a pretty strange, kind of a bumpy, ugly, depending on your perspective, but it's an unusual fruit. And when ripe, it can be sweet, but particularly green jackfruit, which basically is talking about sort of the younger jackfruit, it's very neutral in taste, but it has a consistency very similar to either an artichoke heart, if you're used to eating artichoke hearts. And as you continue to cook it, it actually sort of breaks down and resembles meat. In fact, it's used in vegan crab cakes because it does kind of look a bit like, lump crab meat. And also has that texture as it cooks down, but also in barbecues for pulled pork. And there are actually a couple of ready-made barbecue concoctions of jackfruit that are vegan that are actually quite good, that just need maybe a little bit of spicing up in whatever direction that you want to take it. But if you look at this, it is, really when you get down to it, any barbecue is not pretty, but it is very similar in the fact that it sort of shreds apart, much like a pulled pork or a overcooked chicken barbecue would be. And note though that the more you cook it, the more it sort of falls apart. So if you're using the canned stuff, it can be a little bit chewy like an artichoke heart, which is not a bad thing. But if you're using it for a meat substitute, I would recommend kind of cooking it for a little longer, and you can use fork even to kind of a couple forks to pull it apart. But this is a very easy to digest meat alternative, and it really is neutral. Now, I know some of you are going to get a can, you're going to open it up, you're going to try it and go, this doesn't taste like anything. Well, neither really does a lot of ingredients. Things like rice, quinoa, amaranth, millet, they're very neutral in flavor, but it doesn't mean you can't take them in the direction you want to take them. So these aren't meant to be eaten straight either from the freezer or from the can or fresh at this stage. So you have to kind of do something creative. So in this case, we're doing like a barbacoa style barbecue, and then I am going to put that just simply on a tostada. And again, whatever you can tolerate. This might be, because it's a little crunchy and a little rough, it might be tough if you're just getting out of surgery. Then maybe you do this on top of a little quinoa or make it like a rice bowl, and you skip the crunchy thing, or you do it on a whole wheat tortilla. And then I love doing any kind of salsa. This is just a simple corn and spinach and cilantro salsa, and then I'll put some fresh spinach just kind of shredded on top of that. But back in my prime, I could eat probably 6 of these, and now I'm doing good if I can eat 1. So when I'm making something like this, I typically make a little too much, and then I'll eat 1, and then I'll give it a little bit of time, and then when I'm ready, I'll go back and have another one. But don't push beyond that comfort zone. You're going to kind of find that comfort zone that you're happy with. You're not in a competition with anybody else. It really is just what can you get into your new GI system. Or I always sort of joke with my GI doctor that I no longer have the G, I just have the I. So he's my eye doctor, which confuses my eye doctor. So anyway, long story. But jackfruit was just such an interesting thing that I wanted to share it with you, because oftentimes when you find a new ingredient like that, it's intimidating. You don't know what to do with it. But to me, that's exciting. It's sort of like finding a new crayon that you've never found before, and so you get to paint with this new color. So just wanted to share that with you, and what a great little meat substitute. Works its way into anything you can think of. Give it a try. Let me know how you discover to use it, and maybe I'll include that on a future segment. Thanks so much for joining us. Take care of yourself, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.